let's just start with some of the points of your speech. You were up there on the stage. You were talking about the theme of this event, Pretty Fed Up. Talk to me about that. How did you come up with that theme, and why is it so important that the women here go home understanding why they're here and what they need to do to empower the next generation of young conservative women?
Well, gosh, you said it. We're pretty fed up, and that is the theme of this year's Young Women's Leadership Summit with Turning Point USA. But the thing is, it's like, gosh, I could talk for 2 hours about all the things we're fed up with as conservative women in this country right now. We're fed up with the Biden administration being completely slandered and maligned by mainstream media, being doxxed, taken off of social media platforms, losing our jobs, losing our friends, getting kicked off our college campuses. All of that together, we're fed up with all of it. And of course, this is a midterm year. So we really are ready to fight. And also, I think in the last couple years, we've really seen where we have ceded ground to the left when it comes to cultural issues, how that has not worked in our favor. Being the nice guys, conservatives who are just like, well, I just want to be the bigger person. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to, rile people up. That's not working for us. We have to have a different approach going forward if we want to make any difference in 2022 and 2024. And with young women especially, we're really getting the brunt from the left right now in just culture and, Hollywood, everything, how we're treated and painted and perceived and stereotyped. And so all of it, we're mad and we're ready to make a change and we're ready to stop being walked all over.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's so important when it comes to younger women. There is that fear of losing a friend. There's that fear of losing a relationship. And you hit upon this yesterday, but that fear of losing that one friend, it shouldn't hold you back from saving our future.
Yeah.
What do you make of the fact that we are here at a women's leadership summit, and the other side, the left, they can't even define what a woman is?
Well, it's interesting because, right now, of course, we have those same group of people that can't define what a woman is, saying that women deserve the right to choose. Well, who's to have a say on the right to choose, which is actually, of course, the right to murder preborn children. They say, no ovaries, no opinion, but everyone's a woman. None of it makes sense. They never make sense.
None of it makes sense.
But I think what's interesting is that we have several thousand women here at the Turning Point USA Young Women's Leadership Summit, and every year it keeps getting bigger and bigger and growing. And the left has nothing like this. They do not have amazing, huge rallies or conferences with thousands of young people that show up like we do with Turning Point events. And so I know when you're on Twitter and when you're on Facebook and Instagram and the hashtags that are trending and, watching stuff on Netflix and what's coming out of Hollywood, it seems like, gosh, I am the minority. There is no one like me. I'm never represented. And when you come to a Turning Point USA event, you see, oh, wow, that is not even close to the truth. The fact that we have this many people that show up in person. It's different when you can, look, the left can say, oh, well, we have a lot of people tweeting with certain hashtags, but are they showing up in person? Are they buying tickets to events and flying across the country to meet up and see each other? No, but young conservatives in America do that.
Absolutely. So you're the host of a show, Poplitics, the intersection of pop culture and politics. There is a lot of pop culture, a lot of content coming out of Hollywood that does not speak to a lot of Americans. We see that with the Disney stuff. We see that with a lot of the woke Hollywood trying to appease China, and just doesn't really speak to a lot of suburban regular people in America. We do see a new movie, Top Gun, out right now that's blowing records. A lot of people are crediting that to the fact that it is tremendously pro-American, masculine. What are your thoughts on how well that type of content is performing?
Okay, so you have Top Gun performing at the top of the box office right now. Simultaneously, Netflix decides to fire a ton of woke employees and say, you're not going to tell us what we can and cannot do, and if you're offended that you can't work here. If that's the case, the door's right here. So I think right now, Disney is the exception. I think they're burying their own grave, and they must enjoy it there, I guess, because they don't want to make any changes. But people like Netflix are seeing that, I think. Okay, wow, maybe this woke content, these woke children's shows, Meghan Markle hosting a children's show or whatever she was going to do, like nobody wants that. Nobody's going to pay for that and stream that. So we do have to change direction. We do need to make more things. Of course, it is fair for them to have some, as woke of content as they want, but you should also have the other side represented and just stuff that's apolitical. What happened to just non-political, entertaining, fun stuff to watch? That's really what people want. Even conservatives, we don't want to consume politics in every single thing every single day. Like, it's okay to have a break from politics and have an escape, and really that's what media should be. And so fingers crossed, maybe Netflix is going to take that in a great direction. They just had, of course, all these specials with Dave Chappelle. They're sitting by him. They have Ricky Gervais. The left hates both of them because they dare to make jokes about everyone and anyone, but they're standing by them. And so I'm like, look, maybe they're going to learn their lesson. I am a really big believer in second chances, so maybe they'll surprise us.
Yeah, let's hope. You talk a lot about the Cuteservative movement.
Yes.
Give us an explainer of what that is.
Well, when I first launched Poplitics, which was my first show, my daily show that covers pop culture from a conservative perspective, it was important to me not to just be a show. Like a lot of conservative outlets have all these, women that are hosting shows or news anchors, whatever, but you don't feel like they're personal, and it didn't feel like a community. It was just like, oh, this is a show I watch or, listen to or podcast or whatever, but it didn't feel more personal than that. And I really wanted to build a family and a community. And I was like, well, we're conservative women. We love makeup and fashion and pop culture. We're cute. We're Cuteservative. And so that's really how I came up with that name. And I was like, that's more endearing and special than being like my fans, which I don't like, or my followers. No, it's we're Cuteservatives. You are, I am, we're equal. And we care about our country. And we also want to keep up with the Kardashians. I don't think that's a crime. So, it's fun. And because of that word and that branding, it has empowered women from all over the country. We have like over 175 groups on Facebook, I think at this point, dedicated to being fans of my show in all these different cities and areas of the country based on different interests. You have Cuteservative nurses and mom-servatives and, Cuteservatives of Dallas or whatever. And they all meet up and they're making friends and they're in each other's weddings and one of them told me that they got a new apartment and found out that a Cuteservative lived in their apartment complex, and then they became friends. It is a crazy, massive, almost like a very all-American sorority that I never could have imagined, but that has been made possible with just coming up with this little show idea for Poplitics, and that was almost 3 years ago, and now it's expanded into this whole thing.
As someone who does video with Breitbart, we are often out there covering protests. A lot of women protesting, they are not feminine. They're feminists, but they're not usually very feminine. And it does seem like there is a return on the right to, or I don't think the right necessarily lost femininity, but that does seem to be a focus of a lot of the Cuteservatives, is this bringing back what it is to be a woman and how to dress like a woman. And is that something that you are seeing as well?
Well, you know what happened? So I am a young millennial, and for my generation, we were really sold this boss babe life. Put your career first, don't get married, don't have kids, don't even think about that until your mid to late 30s, don't worry about it, your career is what is going to fulfill you. And we really bought into that lie. And so many millennials, and some older than me, they did do that, and then everyone realized, oh wait, now I have the big promotion, I am making a lot of money, women are by the way, the left doesn't want to talk about this, but women are out earning men, I mean, to and from, that this wage gap thing is such BS, but they have all of that, but they still feel like they're missing something. And the truth is that we were made for more. We were made to pour into a family and a husband and have children. And that is what is going to fulfill you at the end of the day. Like your career, at the very end of your life, how much money you made and everything isn't going to matter, but who's going to be at your bedside on your deathbed. And so I think a lot of millennials started to have that wake up call. And now Gen Z is starting to have that wake up call. And so young conservatives really are embracing this. It's called trad dad wife lifestyle. So traditional wife, you know, being a stay-at-home mom and putting a focus on that. And so I think that's amazing. And you know, that's something I think about too. I have a really serious relationship right now. We're not engaged yet, but it's something that we're talking about. And you know, he knows that that's super important. Obviously, I feel like I'm in a place that God wants me to be with hosting this show, but I also really want to be a mother. And at the end of the day, if I had to choose to lose all of this, and if that was the only way to be a mother, I would choose that. And we'll see what ends up happening. Maybe there's a way for me to balance both a little bit, but I think a lot of girls are waking up to the fact that family really is everything and putting more of a priority back on that. And so I cannot wait to see how Gen Z really takes that back.
As a young millennial myself, I would totally agree with what you just said, the lies that were kind of sold, and I don't think that they were maliciously instilled in you know, the daughters. They thought it was right, and many friends, my personal friends and family members, have also started to wake up to wait. Maybe being a 45-year-old CEO, I'm still alone and I don't have a family, and it didn't fulfill me. So
well, and you know what is so many of my friends too did the waiting and then finally decided in their mid to late 30s, okay, now I think I am ready to have a family. And then you experience a lot of times fertility issues with that, with the waiting, and you put career first and everything. And that's just a huge struggle, I think, too. And so a lot of people are waking up to the fact like, oh, I wish that I would have tried to do this sooner. And I think that's something too that's been an eye-opener for people. Plus the fact that, and I talk about this a lot on my shows, which is very controversial even with conservatives, but the fact that almost all of us were prescribed, if you're a millennial, we were all prescribed birth control, whether we were having sex or not in high school at 15 years old for no reason, just to regulate periods or acne or whatever, and then not knowing otherwise the side effects, and then being on that through our 30s, and then realizing, oh my goodness, this has impacted my fertility. Now I'm having all of these problems.
We recently got a ruling in the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial that's been really captivating an audience that we at Breitbart didn't necessarily expect such a wide following, but people were tuning in. And in hindsight, it seems obvious why. This was a trial of Me Too. This was a trial of believe all women. Do you believe that with this ruling that narrative of believe all women is dead?
Oh, not only is it dead, but I think a lot of these liberal Hollywood elites who really promoted the Me Too movement, who promoted hashtags like believe all women, had an eye-opener with the Johnny Depp trial because they're friends with Johnny, they know him, they know Amber, and they know the situation, and they thought, well, maybe believe all women is a little, that's a little jumping the gun a little bit. There's a little bit more nuance to the situation. Not that Johnny Depp is an angel. I think they were very, very toxic to each other. I don't think he was physically abusive. It came out that she was physically abusive towards him. They were both verbally abusive, but look, at the end of the day, there is some gray area. Everybody is innocent until proven guilty. Everybody deserves due process, and believe all men is wrong, believe all women is wrong, and gosh, it's just like, why as a culture, everything has to be so polarized. Everything has to be left, right, this way, that way, black or white. Sometimes there is some gray area, and sometimes you just need to wait and do a little fact finding. And the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial was no different. And I mean, overall, he wins because he got more money. He got 15. She, I believe, gets 2 in the defamation trial. But it's a really big deal, and I'm interested to see his comeback. Are Hollywood studios going to welcome him back? Is he going to be taken off the blacklist and then start getting more productions? Because for the last few years, because of the Amber Heard lies, he really lost out on a lot of money and a lot of movie deals. Now Disney, you would think, with the situation that they're in, they would jump on the PR movement to invite him back on to do the next Pirates of the Caribbean movie. But they already said no. And it's like, okay, well, they're idiots, clearly. They do not care. So maybe someone else will take him up on doing a big blockbuster. I've heard rumors that he's maybe going to do Beetlejuice revamp, possibly. So that would be very cool.
That would actually be very cool. Yeah. I would pay money. As someone who doesn't go to the movies a lot, I would pay money to go see that.
Absolutely.
So, is there anything else that you wanted to add in that you think would be good for our audience?
Yeah. I just launched a brand new podcast in addition to Poplitics, I have a show called The Spillover, which comes out every single Friday on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And what's really, really special about The Spillover is that I interview guests from the craziest circumstances that you could ever imagine. Ex-psychics, actresses, country singers, but also people that have survived serial killers, burn victims, everything and anything. Just really unique, interesting stories that sometimes I think people feel like, well, this isn't overtly political, so I don't know, should I be covering this story? But no, that's the thing. Like, conservatives should be making entertaining content. It doesn't always have to be talking about the president. We could talk badly about Biden for hours, but like, sometimes it's good to just have like an interesting story that's really captivating on the edge of your seat. And so that's what The Spillover is. And so it's a great podcast to introduce even to your liberal friends, because every week it is vastly different. It could be a funny episode with a funny guest. It could be a super serious one, like I said, intense, a true crime survivor. So it's always different, and that's such a good bridge to kind of throw out there to liberal friends. Be like, I know you'll like this guest or this topic, like you should check this out. And then they get a little introduction to conservatism in a cool way. Like, we're also normal and like the same things as you. We might have a little bit of a difference in policy beliefs or whatever, but like at the end of the day, we like pop culture, we like culture, all the same stuff. And so we do have that in common. And so I think that's always a good way to bridge that gap.